in the heart of a quaint Japanese neighborhood where cherry blossoms dance in the breeze and traditional houses stand proudly, I had just arrived. My name is Cheney, and I'm a middle-aged Australian who'd come to work in Japan and escape the rut that I was stuck in. I found myself drawn to the peaceful atmosphere, the rich culture of the country, and so I settled on a charming house in a quiet street. I'd barely unpacked my belongings when there came a knock at the door. I opened my door and saw an elderly woman standing on my doorstep. And this woman was none other than the street boss. She was the boss of the Chonaikai, the neighborhood association. She said good afternoon and introduced herself and asked if she could have a minute of my time. And she came into the house and sat down in my living room. I felt a little bit uneasy. I hadn't really heard of a Chonaikai before, and I wasn't sure if they were legitimate or not. I thanked her for welcoming me to the street, and I tried to be as polite as possible, and I needed to get to the chase, so I said, "How can I help you?" The street boss explained the purpose of the Chonaikai, and she spoke of community events, neighborhood watch programs, and the importance of maintaining a harmonious living environment. I listened very carefully to understand this unfamiliar system. In today's video, I want to go through everything there is to know about Chonaikai for someone living in a community in Japan. While I talk to you about the local neighborhood association system, I'm going to show you around my backyard of Wakayama. First stop is my local coffee and crepe. After breakfast, I'm going to head off to the library and then to my local beach. It's currently Golden Week here in Japan and it's really warmed up. It's such a nice day. I'm missing seeing the ocean. So let's talk a little bit about the Chonaikai. So in Japan there are these groups and they're called Neighborhood Community Association, and they're made up of people who live in the area. I guess it's an organization where residents join forces to bring about common goals. And some of these goals include wanting to make the area a better place to live and wanting to make the environment a safe environment for children to study and play, and making sure that everything stays beautiful. This is how the street boss sort of introduced to me what the Chonaikai is. In my area, I get the city newsletter delivered to my house. I get an information notice passed around, so it's called a kairanban, and it gets delivered to my door. I read it, put a stamp on it, and then pass it over to the next door neighbor, and then they do the same. And this is a quick way to get notices around from member to member. We also have a cleaning day, so it's where we clean the drains, and that's the outside drains which supply water to our rice fields. So I have an open drain at the back of my house, and it's for clean water to go into the rice fields. We also do disaster prevention training. We have summer festivals, children's clubs. There are patrols to help both prevent crime but also help children cross the roads. And there's also a garbage disposal station that's managed and cleaned, and that's done on rotation by our group. I believe these neighborhood associations are self-governing, and the activities depend from region to region, so they're not always going to be exactly the same. I also found out that you're not obliged to join these. It's entirely optional. In my case, I decided that I would be joining because I wanted to get to know the local people and have a relationship with them. Also, living on my own, I thought it would be really important to be able to communicate with the local people when I needed some help. And I also, in return, want to offer help wherever I can. So I've brought you along now to the Wakayama Library as I'm talking about the Street Boss. It's a beautiful library with a Starbucks, and every book that you could imagine seems to be here. So I'm in particular after a video editing book because I am new to video editing and making these YouTube videos. So I thought I'd come in and see if there was something here that could give me a helping hand. So after the street boss left my house, I did a little bit of research to see how the membership fee stacked up. So she told me that I would need to pay 3,600 yen to join the neighborhood association. And I found out that that was on the lower end. So depending on your location where you live, you may have to pay a lot more than that. Given that it was a fairly low annual fee, I decided with all the advantages that it might be best for me to join. So I'm here at the Wakayama station, and I'm going to catch a train that's bound for Kada and get off one stop before that for a beautiful beach. This beach is called Iso no Ura, and it's known for being a surfing beach here in Wakayama. And similar to the cat train, if you watch my cat train video, the trains headed out to Kada are done up like fish. And today happens to be Children's Day, and I don't know if you know anything about koi nobori, but they are the carp streamers that represent your children growing up to be big and strong. So it's very fitting that I'm catching a fish train today. So it is important to find out about the membership fee for your neighborhood association, but you also need to be aware that you will be asked to participate in a number of various activities and events, and you may need to become an officer. So I was told that my house is 7th on the list, which means in 7 years' time it will be my turn to be the street boss. So actually everyone gets a chance to be the street boss. So if you're a street boss, it's your job to make sure everything is in order, such as making sure the circulation board goes around properly, making sure the rubbish is put out in a timely manner, and following the general rules of the street. The street boss's job is to enforce these rules for the benefit of the group. How good is Iso no Ura Beach? What a spectacular day this is. I'm so happy I could bring you along today to show you this surfing beach, which is literally in my backyard. It's a short drive away from my house, even though I caught the train today. It seems like surfing is super popular here, and it's reminding me of the Gold Coast back home a little bit. I'm the only foreigner living in our particular area, so the kaidan bun is all in Japanese, but I have heard that other areas have it translated depending on the residents that live there. It isn't too big a problem for me, it just takes me a little bit longer to understand what's written in the material. I found this fabulous little cafe right on the waterfront, and they're selling like Hawaiian Mexican fusion food. I'm going to have a chicken burrito today and some mango juice. You can even sit outside on their deck and watch the surfers go by, and they even have Corona beers for sale. Today's a bit windy for me, so I'm going to sit inside. I have to say, if you are coming to Wakayama, definitely come and check out Iso no Ura Beach and maybe make a day of it and pop into this cafe. So I guess the neighborhood association is a great way for foreigners to deepen the exchanges with local residents and to learn about the culture and life in Japan. I really recommend that everyone joins their local association. I think if you had small children or you wanted to blend in with the community as much as possible, it's a great idea to join and be an active member of the group. You could ask your local real estate agent in advance to check the activities of your local neighborhood association and decide yourself whether it's something you want to join or not. Initially, I have to admit, I was pretty wary and very cautious when the street boss first came to my house. This is something totally unique to me, and I'd never heard of this kind of thing in Japan before. I guess it's just one of those things that you don't find in a typical guidebook about Japan. So I guess that's my motivation for sharing this with you. So if you move to Japan and you got a knock on your door, don't be too alarmed. There is something called a neighborhood association. I did in my internet searches hear that there are a couple of horror stories about people getting in trouble for not following the rules regarding rubbish and rubbish collection times and things like that. But I think if you follow the rules and you do everything correctly, you shouldn't run into any problem with your street boss. For those of you asking about my Japanese language course, I have not forgotten at all. I'm working really hard on my time off to try and get a course together for you. So thank you very much for being patient. Thanks for shouting me a coffee as well. I really appreciate it, and it helps me so much with this editing business that I'm still trying to get my head around. To all the new subscribers, thank you so much for joining the channel and joining me on this journey. Millie and I are reading all your comments, and we're so grateful to each and every one of you.